Hello everyone! Our video for today is a discussion about our selected 10-minute activities and wrap-up activities with their correlation to the 21st century principles. And now, let's get started.
Good day. I'm Beth Millora and I will discuss one of the three chosen 60-second activities to help learners repeat, review, and remember, which is the pair share and relate it into fundamental training principles of the 21st century, which are first, shorter segments of instruction are better than longer ones. And second is learners remember more when they are involved in the learning. So now, let us first explore pair share. What is a pair share? It is also called a dyad dialogue or a neighbor nudge. This activity is the quickest, easiest, and psychologically the safest way to invite learners to participate. During a pair share, each learner turns to another person and engages in a short discussion about something that is topic related. With a pair share, learners don't have to worry about how they will sound in front of their peers, nor do learners need to be concerned about whether or not they know the right answer. After all, the only person they will be talking with will be the person seated next to them. So, what does a pair share do? A pair share helps learners review information in an easy, quick, low-risk way. Remember what they just heard, connect what they just heard with what they already know, and connect with each other in order to build a safe learning community and become more comfortable with interaction and active involvement in the learning. When the learners participate in a pair share, it is expected to see them turn and talk to someone they are sitting or standing next to, listen as the other person is talking, become involved in the discussion about the topic, feel more at ease with you, with each other, and with the topic. Be more willing to ask questions, and look more awake, alert, and interested as you lecture. Here are the 10 pair shares. Pair share number 1. Turn to your neighbor, the person sitting next to you, and tell him the most important fact you just learned in the last 10 minutes. Pair share number 2. Turn to a person sitting behind you, across from you, or in front of you, and ask her to summarize what she just learned in the last 10 minutes. Pair share number 3. Turn to a person you haven't talked to yet and tell that person why you think the information you just heard is important to what you do. Pair share number 4. Make up a quick question about what you've just learned and see whether the person sitting next to you can answer your question. Pair share number 5. Ask the person seated across from you how what he just heard fits with what he already knew about the topic. Pair share number 6. Number off around your table or down your row into ones or twos. Ones have 15 seconds to tell twos the most important thing they just learned about the topics. Twos have 15 seconds to tell ones a way they can use the information they just learned. Pair share number 7. Together with your neighbor, create a phrase that summarizes what you've just learned and be ready to tell the whole group the phrase when you are asked to do so. Pair share number 8. With your neighbor, create a question about what you've just learned and be sure to write down the question and come back to it later. Pair share number 9. With your neighbor, identify one problem concern, or issue related to what you just learned. And the last one is pair share number 10. Tell your neighbor the answer to a question related to what you just learned and see whether she can figure out the question that goes with the answer.
Hello everyone! Our video for today is a discussion about our selected 10-minute activities and wrap-up activities with their correlation to the 21st century principles. And now, let's get started. What is a think and write? During this activity, learners take a moment to think about what they have learned and then write down their thoughts as per your instruction. The think and write is more introspective than other 60-second activities because learners quietly reflect upon what they learn.
Good day. I'm Beth Millora, and I will discuss one of the three chosen 60-second activities to help learners repeat, review, and remember, which is the pair share and relate it into fundamental training principles of the 20.
Corporate training guru Dr. Siva Sailam, in his Design Your Own Games and Activities in year 2003, calls this a rapid reflection time. So whatever you chose to call it, use it to help learners mentally absorb the training material. Here's the question. What does a think and write do? With 1 minute of quiet reflection and writing, learners can, first, deepen their own understanding of the concepts learned. Second, link what they are learning with what they already know. Third, experience a moment of quiet energy as they reflect on what they've learned. Fourth, discover what they may still have a question about. Fifth, relax and take a break from interacting with other learners. Sixth, to internalize the information they are learning. And fifth, move the information into a long-term memory. And here are the 10 think and write activities. Think and write number 1. Think about the material we have just covered. Write one sentence that summarizes this information. Think and write number 2. Think about what you have just learned. If you had to explain the main idea to someone else, what would you say? Write your explanation in a sentence or two. Think and write number 3. Think about how you can use this information. Jot down 2 or 3 ways that you could apply what you have learned. Think and write number 4. Think about a question you still have concerning this information. Write your question on an index card and pass it up to me. If you don't have a question, jot down the most important thing that you have learned so far. Think and write number 5. Post a list of topic-related terms that you have lectured about. Then say, look over these terms. Choose one and write a sentence defining it. Think and write number 6. Think about an action plan for using this information. Write down your action plan. If you have time, quietly share it with the person next to you. Think and write number 2. Think about what you have just learned. If you had to explain the main idea to someone else, what would you say? Write your explanation in a sentence or two. Think and write number 3. Think about how you can use this information. Jot down 2 or 3 ways that you could apply what you have learned. Think and write number 9. Who are the 3 people you could share this information with? Jot down their names and what would you tell them on your handout? Think and write number 5. Post a list of topic-related terms that you have lectured about. Then say, look over these terms. Choose one and write a sentence defining it. Think and Write is one of the examples of Got a Minute activities to help learners review, repeat, and remember. Each of these 140 activities lasts about 60 seconds and involves learners in a variety of hands-on, upbeat, thought-provoking ways. And all you have to do is to sprinkle your training with a few of these activities, including them where they seem to fit best or where you want to quick review before moving on to the new information. Think and Write is where learners jot down notes from their discussion during the pair share. It is based on the principle that states learners remember more when they are involved in the learning. It is true that engaging students in the learning process increases their attention and focus, motivates them to practice higher level critical thinking skills, and promotes a meaningful learning experience. Personalized learning, for example, requires that individual characteristics of students are increasingly considered and that they have a greater autonomy and flexibility when choosing what and how to learn. Hands-on learning fosters authorship through encouraging students to put their knowledge and skills into practice. Curricula focused on 21st century skills also call for more active pedagogical techniques which not only broaden students' engagement but also develop their critical, creative, and purpose-based abilities which allows them to remain proactive, and one evident example of the learner's focused school environment is the activity of Think and Write.
Now, let's further discuss about doodles and the principles behind it. Are you ready? Come on! Doodles, in other words, it is visual analogy. And since it is a visual analogy, it is an image that represents a concept or 60-second graphic. By that, learners simply create images, icons, lines, shapes, drawings, cartoons, symbols, stick figures, or logos to represent a topic-related fact or concept. The picture below is an example of visual analogy. Gets? Okay, let's continue. We have a principle of shorter segments of instruction or better than longer ones. So therefore, doodles are 60-second graphic. Doodling in meetings and lectures helps ease tensions. It's look like I'm spacing out when I'm doodling, but I am actually making my thoughts come together, solidifying my own ideas. Doodling has been proven to activate the brain's pathways just enough to keep it from daydreaming without distracting from learning at hand. So it is a thinking tool. Tips and variations of doodles. There are 6. First, note-taking doodles. Second, post-it doodles. Third, collage doodles. Fourth, thought doodles. Fifth, group-created doodles. And last, metaphoric doodles. To know more about it, let's discuss further. Note-taking doodles. Doodle notes are unique visual note-taking method with built-in features that increase focus and memory by taking advantage of a collection of brain research including dual coding theory. There are benefits of visual note-taking using doodles. First, you can focus, retentions of lessons, mental connections, brain hemisphere, and picture effect. And as you can see in the right side, there is a picture brain of left hemisphere and right hemisphere. So the doodle notes strategy integrates both hemispheres of the student brain and helps maximize focus, learning, and retention of the lesson's material. And the picture below, graphic and linguistic. There is a connection between the two which can help retain the lesson's material. Next, let's go to post-it doodles. Learners can doodle on post-it notes and stick them on the wall chart. Like the pictures below, examples are sticky notes and notepads. Words are meaningless without intent or follow-through. You know what would help you stay motivated? These classic paper notes. Stay motivated this year. So we have doodle collage. Below are the examples of doodle collage. It tells the learner to use colored paper to make a doodle collage of all their topic-related images. They may level the images if they wish. Be groovy, real is rare, and stop thinking. These are the examples of doodle collage. Thought doodles encourage learners to think in pictures by asking them, what image comes to mind when you think of? Doodles can reveal a lot about of someone's personality. This means they are the outward expression of our unconscious thoughts and not intended for any particular recipient or for any specific use. Another one is group-created doodles. It is learners work together in pairs, triads, or small groups to create visual images of what they have learned. Doodle is now a responsibility of a team or of a talented illustrators, or we can call them doodlers. Last is using metaphors to think visually. Learners make up metaphors for certain concepts and then draw and share it to others. This is a creative, right brain way of reviewing concepts, which makes learners think about what they have learned in unique and unusual ways. It can also be a creative closing activity. Metaphors and analogies are used constantly to help make sense of the world we live in. When it comes to visual thinking, these devices provide you with means and ways to communicate your visual message in a meaningful manner that helps build understanding, awareness, and familiarity. So, what is the power of the doodle and how to improve our focus and memory, and also the principles behind it? Let's discuss further. Doodling can help people stay focused, grasp new concepts and ideas, and retain information. A blank page also can serve as an extended playing field for the brain, allowing people to revise and improve on creative thoughts and ideas. Doodles are spontaneous marks that can take many forms, from abstract to patterns, designs to images, landscapes, people to faces. Doodling may help the brain remain active by engaging its default networks or a region that maintains a baseline of activity in a cerebral cortex when outside stimuli are absent. Also, A doodle can spark a dialogue between the mind and the hand holding a pencil, and also the eye that perceives the marks on paper. And let's connect it to the principle of shorter segments of instructions are better than longer ones, and learners remember more when they are involved in the learning. Also, it catches the idea of make your training more image rich by using graphics, cartoons, doodles, and more. We like to make sense of our lives by making up coherent stories, but sometimes there are gaps that cannot be filled. No matter how hard we try, doodles fill these gaps, possibly by activating the brain's time machine and allowing it to find lost puzzle pieces of memories, bringing them to the present and making the picture of our lives more whole again. With this greater sense of self and meaning, we may able to feel more relaxed and concentrate more. In short, doodles, these are visual and right brain ways of representing important facts or concepts. That's all for doodles. I hope you understand and the principles behind it. Thank you and flying peace.
Each one, teach one. So what is each one, teach one?
Last is using metaphors to think visually. Learners make up metaphors for certain concepts and then draw and share it to others. This is a creative, right brain way of reviewing concepts, which makes learners think about what they have learned in unique and unusual ways. It can also be a creative closing activity. Metaphors and analogies are used constantly to help make sense of the world we live in. When it comes to visual thinking, these devices provide you with means and ways to communicate your visual message in a meaningful manner that helps build understanding, awareness, and familiarity.
An explicit example of each one, teach one, is our very own peer mentoring. This concept where the mentor, which is the higher year, teaches the mentee, which is the lower year, all the major subjects in accounting. Peer mentoring refreshes the knowledge of the mentor by teaching theories and giving assessment to the mentee. What does each one teach one do? With each one teach one, expect to see learners first demonstrate a new skill. The learners will have an opportunity to show or discover their new learning skills. Second, give each other feedback about how well they are modeling the skill. Third, coach each other as they practice the new skill. Fourth, discuss what they have learned. Fifth, ask each other question. If the learners have a difficulty in analyzing the learning materials, they can ask each other. Sixth, encourage each other. And the last one, provide mutual support for ongoing learning. The learners should remember the average retention rates, where the 5% is the lecture, the 10% is the reading, the 20% is audiovisual, the 30% is the demonstration, and the 50% is the discussion group, and 75% is the practice by doing, and 90% is teach others.
Think and write number 1. Think about the material we have just covered. Write one sentence that summarizes this information.
Take 5 games where learners wrap up the learning by reinforcing, applying, and practicing what they learned. It's the activities that help you to make the learning stick. That is, learners will remember information longer because they will have time to use the information in various ways. These games also save you time that you might also have to spend reteaching the same material. With these games, the probability increases that participants will use more of what they learned and will remember it longer. Now I'm going to introduce you to one of those activities, the gallery walk. What is the gallery walk? It is one of the most versatile learner-centered activities. The gallery walk has been called by a lot of names and has many variations. You can use it as an information reach, opening connection, closing celebration, or review activity. The gallery walk connects learners to each other and learners to the training topic in a number of interesting and interactive ways. This activity can easily be tailored to the training objectives, the needs of your learners, the size of the group, and the training environment. Sharon Bowman, as an author and a traveling teacher, helps educators and business people teach it quick and make it stick, fine-tuning their information delivery skills and turning their passive listeners into an active learners. That is where she writes the 10-minute trainer book. So here's the question. What does a gallery walk do? Depending upon your purpose in using this activity, a gallery walk can connect learners to both new and old information. Help learners focus on what they already know and what they want to learn. Build a strong learning community by connecting learners to each other and to the topic. Gather a large amount of topic-related information to be used later in the training. Be a pre- and post-training self-assessment for learners.
Think and write number 3. Think about how you can use this information. Jot down 2 or 3 ways that you could apply what you have learned.
Provide learners with an opportunity to physically move around while reviewing materials. Encourage learners to use higher order thinking skills. Example, analysis, evaluation, and synthesis while engaged in a review.
Provide time for learners to respond to topic-related issues that they might not otherwise have had the time to address.
Build a strong learning community by connecting learners to each other and to the topic.
So, what does a pair share do? A pair share helps learners
Become a thoughtful, high energy way to either open or close a training. Help learners focus on what they already know and what they want to learn. Next, we have the pass the charts. If space to move around your room is limited, instead of posting the chart papers on the wall, put one of each table and have table groups write responses and then pass the papers to the other groups. Then we have the table rotation. Put charts on table and have table groups stand and rotate from the table to table as to write. The next is card charts. Instead of writing in the wall charts, have participants write their answers on a large index cards or post-it. Note and tape them to the charts. Then lastly, we have the graffiti gallery. Cover one of the entire wall with a chart or butcher paper and label it graffiti gallery. On designated times during the training, participants write their responses to a question you asked or to the topic-related problem. They can also write their opinion about the concept as question, they have a comment they want to share, and so forth.
learners can write their chart responses during the opening and then read the charts during the break. Learners can add to the charts at various designated times during the training or use the questions as a pre and post assessment of what they have learned. Learners can write one response to each chart during each break and then discuss the charts as part of the closing.
Think and Write is one of the examples of Got a Minute activities to help learners review, repeat, and remember. Each of these 140 activities lasts about 60 seconds and involves learners in a variety of hands-on, upbeat, thought-provoking ways. And all you have to do is to sprinkle your training with a few of these activities, including them where they seem to fit best or where you want to quick review before moving on to the new information. What you have just learned earlier is one of the few ways on how to use teachable moments to reinforce learning in powerful and memorable ways. So that is all for today, and I hope that you have learned something from the video you have just watched.